And we're live. Hello, everybody. Today I have the honour and privilege speaking with the amazing Lucy Bainbridge. Lucy helps women create a life away from drugs and alcohol. And Lucy is somebody who I came across on Facebook, and I just couldn't help but think I really, really needed to speak with this woman. Her story was just so it blew me away. It was so inspiring. She's been through so many challenges and so many changes in her life. I just thought, wow, she's going to be such an inspiration to all the SG careers and job coach tribe. And not just that, I wanted to speak with her on a personal level because I just felt as though there's something there that would be really, really great to develop a little bit. And when I spoke with her, I couldn't help but feel so overwhelmed by her story, but in a good way, because I came away thinking, okay, if Lucy has been through all of the things that she's been through and she's managed to overcome it and come out the other side and, go for her dreams and ambitions, then anybody who is questioning their career and their life right now and think they can't do it, then they need to take inspiration from Lucy. So, on that note, I would really like to say hello to Lucy. Hello, Lucy. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Soma. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Cool.
And I'm really grateful that you've asked me to speak. It's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you again for taking the time out today. So, Lucy, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you currently do in your own words.
Okay, so let's think where to go back to. I suppose the majority of my life, to break it down, quite a while I wasn't a very happy girl. I grew up and I was kind of bullied between the ages of 14 and 17, and I had kind of low self-esteem, and I always what I'd call very negative and miserable outlook on life, and that it was all a bit dull, and I really, really cared what people thought of me, and people can sense that in you, right? So
yes.
It used to kind of make people, I think, take advantage of me. And I suppose when you're on a low, you have no self-esteem and you haven't got much confidence, people can sense it, and so I would kind of detract from people. People wouldn't kind of warm to me, and I would be quite insecure, and it can make people feel quite tense. So I spent quite a lot of my life like that, and then I found drinking out drugs basically, and I was like any normal girl, really, going out at the weekends from about the age of 15, and then, but it was the only time where I felt that I could fit in, because obviously your central nervous system shuts down, and you kind of are your true self, and you do say what you want to say, and you're not embarrassed, and you can lose all of those inhibitions. So I got attached, not realising how much more attached I would be than the majority.
Yes.
And I started finding life very boring without drink and drugs, and I always had found life quite dull without them. So basically I started doing a lot of cocaine, and I was doing pills, and I was doing, spending my life raving, and I had some really good experiences, had a really good time, but it kind of started ruling my life, and I never thought I had a problem because everyone else was doing it, one, and two, I was holding down a job, I was doing a degree, I was doing all these other things as well, so I kind of thought, this is what it was. But I would fix on anything outside of myself. So it would be, I would get obsessed with men, or I'd get obsessed with drinking, or finding the next gram of coke, or I used to live for the weekend, which is exactly what a lot of people in this country do, is just live for the weekend. And then so this carried on for probably about 8 years, and then I had an epiphany, what I would call an epiphany. It got to the point where I was miserable even taking drugs now, it
Yes.
kind of, they didn't have the effect,
Yeah.
and it became a necessity to have it in order to be in a social environment.
Yes.
You know, like people's faces would bore me until I'd had a line, and I would never be able to be present with anyone in a conversation until I'd had a line of coke. So and I had this epiphany, and basically I'd been up all night and all day. So it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and when you do coke, you have a terrible come down. It's like you have this enormous high and then this terrible low. And I used to never sleep. So I got this book that someone had recommended. It was the book The Secret, and a lot of people know about that book. And I'd heard of positive thinking, and I'd heard of all these different things before, and I just kind of got it like on a very like intellectual level. But it never really changed anything in me. And anyway, so I opened this book and I started reading it, and I was reading it for probably about half an hour, and then some wave of understanding came over me, and it was so strong. It was like suddenly I saw how my thoughts were creating my experience, but not only my experience, my life.
Very interesting.
So, and I got it so deeply that it was just like, it was kind of like a sense of peace and like knowing, and so really from there, that's when my life changed. And so, and then really what happened was my mum, and then this is where I started having a kind of belief in something way beyond this human world, was because my mum got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer just 1 month after that, and there's no way I would have coped with that. Well, I would have had to have coped, but there's no way I would have handled that in the way that I did if I hadn't had this kind of awakening, as I call it.
Okay, so that was a big turning point for you, basically.
It was. I have never had anything that strong experience before, ever, before or after that. I've had profound moments where life is really beautiful, but nothing like that. It was an intense, like, what the hell is going on kind of experience, and it's just a big expansive feeling. It was just, it's like what people call it is like a high, you go onto a higher state of consciousness. You're more aware of what's actually happening and how life works. And so so then my mum, she got ill. It took a while. It was about 3 months after that before I completely cut all the drugs. But it really wasn't about the drugs, I realised. It was how happy I was in as a person, because the drug is a symptom of an underlying cause, which is generally unhappiness or stress in some kind of way, because otherwise we wouldn't fix. We wouldn't need to keep using. So and then I think it was that was in the August, and the December was like the last time I'd done coke, and basically then like I saved up. We went travelling for a couple of months, and then in the November, which was nearly a year ago now, my mum passed away, but I remember thinking I had this sense of peace, still this sense of peace and contentment through that period that I've never had that before in my life. I was still happy. Like, not happy that it was what was happening, but happier, like strength. It's like an inner strength. And I could ride my emotions rather than buy into them. So I wouldn't get, like, I was just experiencing it, but I know I'd get down, but I'd be happy again. And I noticed, and this is where I really noticed how your external circumstances have no impact on your internal situation, because I was happy and sad all day, every day, and I'm like that now, right? So obviously there's no emotional drama going on now, but I was able to go through it very present and kind of with a positive outlook, and I think that helped my father, and I think it helped well, it obviously helped me because it reduces the amount of stress that you go through. And actually, you know, death is inevitable. It's the only certain thing. And
it is.
we're so scared of it. But if you could just like, right, okay, this is what's happening, rather than creating any meaning around it, and just accept it, then it's easier to ride. You know, you can, and so then from that point, I've been kind of on this upward spiral to help other people who are suffering in some way, shape or form, and help them transform their life from the inside out. So, and once you kind of get this understanding, your external circumstances change, but it has to start with your inner. You can't change the outside to fix an internal problem.
Until you change this. That's very, very interesting, Lucy. It's one of the main reasons I was really, really blown away by you when I spoke with you, because I just thought, wow, when you think about it, it is quite logical, but we just don't always think about it, do we? Because we're too busy beating ourselves up, aren't we?
Sure. Especially as women, we have this whole thing about not being good enough and always wanting to match lots of different requirements and thinking that, you know, what we look like is important and all these different things that the thing is it is like a massive illusion, right? Because we think that our external circumstances, it tricks us every day. Like, I get tricked by it. I think, oh my God, what if this happens? What if this happens? And then actually, you never know what's going to happen. Full stop. It never happens. What you worry about, like that would be a psychic situation, right? To imagine a situation and then it happened that way. That would be, even with, but we kind of get caught up in what we think our thoughts are real, right? So,
very true.
And they're not. So,
So, Lucy, who is your biggest inspiration then, and why?
Well, can I have two?
Yes, of course you can have two. That's, you know, it's your answers. We want to hear as much as you can.
Well, that's a typical addictive person who's wanting more than one. The first is a woman who had a very similar journey to me. She's called Gabrielle Bernstein. Okay, so she's famous kind of in the personal spiritual world. And she teaches, she's a spiritual person who also went through recovery and now helps light up the world and get people in touch with their inner voice. And she's just, you know, very sexy, sassy New York woman.
Cool.
But she's got this spiritual way about her, and what I really love about her is that she's totally committed to her path and her purpose, and that's all that matters. And, you know, she's just out there doing her thing, and she's just, you know, as women, you can really relate to her, and she's a really good role model. And then I really like Russell Brand as well.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, I love him. Like, he's so intelligent and so articulate, and I used to find him really annoying, right? Because he's like, when he used to do that Big Brother thing, I used to find him like
very annoying,
just highly, it was just too much. But he had an awakening as well, and now there's this video that's kind of gone viral, and he talks about how we're tapped into, you know, we're spiritual beings tapped into this human experience, right?
Yes, I've seen it, I think.
Yeah, and he's so articulate, but he's humbled now. You can tell he's not this big egotistical person anymore, and I know he's really, but what I also really like about him is that he's so unapologetic about who he is. And
totally.
Yeah, so I really like him. He's a bit quirky. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, he's an interesting one, isn't he? He's very, very interesting.
Well, he's carrying a very powerful message now, and I've never been involved in politics or the news. I've never found it interesting. I've just been so uninvolved, and the news, and he carries a really powerful message, and he's really trying to wake people up. So I think that's important.
Definitely, definitely. So, so Lucy, obviously you've been through many, many changes, but in terms of the different careers you have, what have they been, and what have you learned from the different types of careers that you've been in?
Okay. Well, my other thing that I've supported me for the last 10 years is hairdressing. I'm a hairdresser.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've touched my hair now. I'm like, oh, hang on, what does my hair look
No,
like
you do
now?
have lovely hair. I did notice that actually. It's lovely. Yeah, I'm not just saying that. Yeah.
I just realised it might look a mess, and I was like, hang on.
Oh,
um, so yeah, I'm a hairdresser. So I've always been very image conscious, and
okay.
as women we are, and but what also I noticed about hairdressing is how we're all very much the same.
Yes.
And I mainly work with women.
Hmm.
Actually, an interesting insight into the difference
Oh,
between men and women is that men come and have their hair cut and they just have fewer words,
that doesn't
whereas
surprise me. Yeah.
yeah, like they have a lot less thought.
Yeah.
And women come and we all have the same issues. And I think something I learned is that we're always so in our own heads and our own problems, and we think that everyone else is aware of what's happening to us, right? But
Yes.
no one is thinking about us. Everyone's thinking about them, yeah? So we really need to be less concerned about what people think, because it's so
Definitely.
irrelevant, actually, of who you are.
Definitely.
There's a really good quote, and it's, what is it saying? It says, there is no thought that defines who you are.
Very good.
Anyone, you cannot think something. I can't remember what it is now. It's
Yeah, no,
really, really
yeah.
rubbish. But basically, even when you look at yourself, one
Yes.
thought of yourself is not who you are, and when you look at someone else, that's also not who they are. And so it kind of shows you how infinite,
Yeah.
like, what is actually happening, because you'll think, oh, I'm this one day, I'm thinking I'm this the other day, and we're constantly evolving as people. So when people think about themselves or what other people think of them, it's just totally moving all the time, and it's totally fluid, and it's not important. So people should be less aware of their faults and what they perceive to be faults, and focus on their good sides and their strengths, because as women as a country, as a nation, we are quite negative.
So that's very interesting, because it leads on to the next question in terms of how do you help kind of motivate women who have low self-esteem and low confidence in themselves? How do you help them?
Well, I think the main thing that we have to do, like what I try to do, is it always starts with the thinking. So whatever you're thinking about, you're going to bring more and more into your experience, right? So you can, I could just give an example, like a fixation on a spot, right? How much we can make like a spot on our face ruin our whole day. And not just that we emphasize it, we cover it up, we start to squeeze it, we do whatever it is, and we make this whole, but you can get so channeled down on that, and then someone will speak to you and they don't know what you're talking about, right? So we do that with our inner we do that with our thoughts of ourselves as well. So some days you feel like absolute rubbish and you think you're an idiot, and you just you can beat yourself up all day. But just to realise that that's thought, and that it isn't reality, it's your thoughts that are coming through you. And equally, so I try and get people to see the best in themselves and continue to think like that. And so it's a way of highlighting the good points and getting them to see that the difference in the bad thoughts and the good thoughts, that there is no difference, they're just thoughts, right? So if you decide to think that you have a choice with what you're thinking, and you become what you're thinking. So if you're constantly telling yourself that you're really ugly, then you're going to have a constant negative experience, and you're going to create a kind of and you're going to, what happens is that you're going to kind of transmit that into the world, right? So you'll meet someone and you'll think, oh my god, he's looking at my hair, or he thinks I'm this, and you power into yourself, and you kind of do not appeal to the world then. So you're then creating what you're thinking about, right? So because you're believing it, you're believing the thoughts.
Yeah.
True. So you then act as if that's true.
Yes.
So then the rest of the world will start to seem like that. It will seem like the rest of the world also believes that that's true, but it's not true. Nothing is. There is no fixed truth, right? There's just your thoughts. So you can change. You can choose to see it how you want to see it. You can choose to focus on your good, or you can choose to focus on your bad.
I know, kind of goes back to the secret that you spoke about at the beginning. If you think positive thoughts, then you'll attract the positive things. But if you think negatively about everything, then it's just going to go on a downward spiral, basically. It kind of goes back to that.
Well, absolutely. And one of my mentors, Jamie Smart, he says it's not even about changing the thinking. It's just being aware.
Yeah, being aware of it. Yes, very true.
Being aware that, oh, this is my thinking. This isn't reality, because our perception is only our perception, right? Your perception is completely different to mine. We've got all these big stories in our heads about what life is like. And there is no one way. So our mind is creating all of it. So as soon as you kind of deepen your understanding of that, you get less attached anyway. You're like, oh, I'm just having a thought. It's not real anymore. It's like, oh, it's just, that's just a rubbish thought. It's like, you can always argue two sides, right? You can always argue why for something. You can always argue against it. Just like there's always a positive and there's always a negative to everything. So something you will see as negative, other people will find endearing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there is no true.
There isn't.
No, there's no fixed true thing. So it's a choice to how you want to be, and it's very freeing. So I keep bringing my clients back to that. Really, is that once you get this kind of sense of I can do anything I want, I can have anything I want, I can be anything I want. You can create your life from that place. And you can create quantum leaps with the support of having someone else do that with you. Yeah. Because it's just even more energy, and people get to see things that you wouldn't necessarily think about, or you wouldn't believe something is possible.
Yes.
But and that's why a coach or some kind of support group coaching or whatever it is so powerful.
It can. So what piece of advice would you give? Because to somebody who is a hard-working woman, she has the perfect job, what everyone thinks is the perfect job, should I say, but they're unhappy in their job and they just feel really frustrated and fed up. I mean, what is the first piece of advice you would give to them if somebody like that came to you and they're just fed up?
Yeah, so the first bit of advice I would give to that person is by being fed up, right, we're focusing on the thing that we dislike about the job, right? So we're going, oh, I don't like this, I don't want this. What a huge thing that I read in that book is that by focusing on what you don't want, you keep seeing it, right? So what we need to do is get really clear on what we do want, right? So, okay, so you don't want this job, and then I would like them to suspend their belief on what's possible for them and design a life that they would love to lead. So, okay, so you don't want to be in this 9 to 5. Like I had a similar, in fact, when I had this epiphany, I was in a job where like a PPI role, where we were sending out application forms and answering the phone. I was having the same conversation 70 times a day, right? And it was awful.
Oh, God.
And I would go in by 10 o'clock, I would be like, I can't believe I'm here again. And it was this monotonous hell, really. Anyway, but by keep focusing on the bad, you're you're not moving into anything. And because our great brains are goal orientated, we need to think of a goal. So you then say, right, how would I like it to be? And you don't put a time limit on it. You just say, what is my ideal life? So working 3 days a week, living in Thailand, like having £1 million a year, like whatever it is, I would like them to suspend what they think is possible to be true, and just design it how they'd like it to be, and don't do anything but just focus on it for a while, and just focus. Don't think, how is that possible? I won't believe that. Because this world is full of impossible creations, right? Yes. People live the impossible dream, and because we don't see how we're going to get there, we believe it's not true, it's not possible. But our brains aren't capable of working out how something is going to happen. But what you can believe is that by focusing on something for long enough, you will start to take the action towards that thing without knowing how you're going to reach the goal. And so just the first tip is just design the life you want to live, and focus on it. Just keep thinking about it. Just literally keep thinking about it.
It's really, really interesting. It's really cool. So for anyone out there right now who might be watching today who is feeling a little bit lost, and they're like, they need a bit of inspiration and guidance maybe, what book would you recommend for them to read?
If they're feeling lost, if they're feeling down, and they're, I would say the most beautiful book I've ever read is A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, and it basically says that every thought is created out of fear or created out of love, and the reality is love and the illusion is fear, and so it goes hand in hand with the positive, negative, good, bad, whatever you want to see it like. But that book, there's so much wisdom and so much, like, those books where you get a moment you have to breathe, you're like, hang on a minute, this is too good, it's because it speaks to your soul, and you can't not be uplifted, and you can't not see life differently when you read that book. So that's just a book that I read when I'm down, and it's a book that will talk to your soul.
Okay. Sounds really cool. So since you started your own business, what do you feel has changed most about you as a person?
Massive thing that I've had to release is ultimate control over how it's all going to pan out, and trusting, having a faith that if you just keep going and you just keep putting the effort in, bad things will happen. What you perceive to be bad will happen, right? But trusting that everything is supposed to be how it's supposed to be, and if you are in a positive state, then you're on the right path, no matter what the circumstances. So I've had to have a deep-seated. What's changed is that I let go. I let go of how I expect something to turn out, and let go of the control over the outcome of something, because it's all a learning curve, and we can never really fail if we keep going. You only fail when you give up, right?
Yes.
So it's built a massive strength in me. I get moments of pure panic, but I also get moments of pure. It's a faith. It's a faith. You're like, right, I'm going into the unknown, but it's really bloody exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
No 2 days are the same, and it's all your creation. That's what I love about it. It's your baby. It's like if you do what you love doing, you'll never work another day in your life, right? So my life is joyful. I don't have any days where I'm like, I get scared.
Yes.
I don't have any days where I'm like, there's no day that's just miserable anymore. I am happy every day at some point in the day, and I am happy with my life, and doing something where you contribute to the world and help other people is what we're here to do. It's a human need contribution. So
Yes.
It's changed. It's the biggest personal development thing that I think you can ever do, is set up your own business. And it like relationships, it makes you come up against your biggest
your biggest problems.
Like what does this mean about me, and how does it, and so it makes you very, very strong.
Yes.
Stronger and stronger, and it's growth and growth and growth, and your business will grow with you. So it's letting go of the fixed outcome and trying to control everything, and just kind of makes you a lot more okay, and just trust. But yeah, I love it.
No, well, you can when you're smiling and through your body language, you can see when you're talking about it just how much you do love it. The passion there. It's just it's so evident. It's lovely, really, really lovely. But in relation, because obviously you do work with women and you help empower them, and I remember one of the things that really struck me when I went to your website is you speak about how women struggle in today's society. And what are your thoughts on the pressure that is put on women in society to basically have it all? What do you think about that? And how do you feel society impacts on that?
I think it massively impacts if you're going to buy into it.
Yeah.
So when you get this kind of understanding about where your reality or where your thought or where your experience is coming from, right, is all in you. Yeah. So I would say that you can view it as opportunity, because there's a lot of opportunity now for women, or you can view it as negative. I think there's a positive and a negative to everything.
Yes.
And your society can't impact you if you don't allow it to.
Yeah.
So I do not think we're victims in any way, shape or form. I think we're in full control and of what we let into our lives and what we allow to affect us. And so I don't really have a problem with it. I think the world is bad in some areas, but it's always been bad in some ways, and then it's absolutely amazing in others, like the fact that we can have this conversation.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Absolutely phenomenal, and it allows a massive amount of freedom for people who are wanting to get out of the same old jobs. Like, if you look at the world in 100 years, we're all going to be self-employed. It's like, there's not going to be these massive, huge institutions, because there's too much information, free information online now. There's too much capability, and less money needs to be used in order to create a business, because it's free. The internet's free. So I think, yes, there's a lot of pressure, but I think you should know yourself, what you want from your life, and work from that. And I don't even watch the telly anymore, really. Like, I just I don't read, I don't watch the news. I'm in my world, and my world is created by me.
Yeah.
And so society can impact you if you let it. That's your choice.
Okay, so obviously you've spoken a lot about your business, but in terms of your business, what do you hope to achieve in your business, and why?
So I think I like to wake up. Well, I think everyone, to a certain extent, is an addict in some way, shape or form. Whether it's a very advanced level, and you're on crack and heroin and you're living on the streets, right? There's that level of addiction, but then I think there's also a level of addiction which is, we're addicted to shopping, or addicted to the guy that we're with, and we're always searching outside of ourselves. So for my business, I want to create a group of women who are wanting to contribute to the world in some way, who've moved away from their addictions, who want to use I think a lot of the problem with addiction is that we have no meaning and no purpose in our lives, and we numb out from this low-level surface thing that we just see as the truth of the way we live, right? And that is society, yeah?
Yeah.
So that breaking free from that and contributing to make the world a better place, because when you find meaning that helps you, or something that you can get addicted, it's almost like an addiction. This business is like an addiction of mine now, yeah? But when that power is channeled into something that's worthwhile, it's so powerful, and it will light up the world. And I think there's I've got lots of different areas my business I think can grow into, and a lot of that is recovering addicts, right? People who have gone through 12-step programs or had a spiritual awakening in some way, shape or form. They have a power that a lot of people do not have, and it's an inner strength and an inner it's like a trust. And so they are the kind of people, we've all still got egos, right? We've still got this side that goes, no, we're not good enough, we're not good enough, we're not worth it, how can I do anything? What I want is to help those people either trigger that spiritual awakening in them, but also then help them to use it in a way that's going to make their life just beyond words, full of joy, full of purpose, and enjoying every day, because that's how it should be. So you know, I work with people one-to-one at the moment, but not this year coming, but the following year I'm going to be opening a mastermind for women who have got clean and who want to who can lift each other up, right? Because what we do in a group of women, you can see your fears in other people, and they'll talk about their fears, and you then see how unreal it is, like how much you see in that person, how beautiful that person is, and by working together, there's this power, this massive energy that can then be contributed in the world. And I think that females, you know, we need a massive feminine energy in this world. This world is toppled over into masculine energy, where we're all about the doing and nothing about the internal power that runs the doing. So it's kind of lost its way into all action, but no nurturing, no soul behind our actions. So this war's action, masculine. You know, what I mean by masculine is not male or female. It's the difference between the nurturing and the spiritual way of living, and then the action with no spirituality. So there needs to be a balance there.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of balance.
So you can see this uprising of women in power, right? And women being, you know, have been suppressed for so long, and you can see how that's coming up.
It's really changing around.
It is massively, and I don't think that we should. Men have a massive place in society. They are so vital. I am not a feminist. I am a lover of men. I think they're amazing. They're so solid, right? I love a way a man just gets on with it, doesn't let all this rubbish get in the way, and I love that about men. But there's on a global scale, there's a need for a massive spiritual uprising, is what I call spiritual.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that level, because it's necessary, because you can't grow personally, and you can't. There's a lot of things that you need to see outside of the box. You need to be a bit unique. So I totally see that. So, Lucy, your website, is it Lucy for Life?
LucyForLife.com.
Yes, correct. Yes. And you sent me a link earlier. So tell me a little bit about what that link would involve. Does that involve a call or?
Yeah. So if anyone is interested in working with me, is interested in finding out how they can start to, you know, break through, transform their own world in whatever way that means to them. And if something I've said, or they like who I am, or it has rung their bell, and they want to go further on that journey, then I'm offering a free 1-hour call to see if they're a right fit for me, I'm a right fit for them, and see how it is that I can help them.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, so that link will take you to a place on my site where they can sign up for that free call.
Okay.
A link with my online diary to book into that free call.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. Well, when I put this on my website, I will mention the link on there, and you know, but what you have said today has just been so like mind blowing. Really, it's so lovely to hear all your wise words. And just to reiterate, do you also help women who aren't having alcohol problems and drug problems? You help people maybe with food addictions, or maybe they're addicted to shopping, like you said. All sorts of different addictions.
Sure, because absolutely, because the addiction is just an external thing, right? And we hook onto that as the problem. The problem is the underlying reason why you need to do that. It's the unhappiness that makes you binge. It's the unhappiness that gets your credit card out and goes, I need all these clothes to make me feel like a better person. Like I need to buy these clothes because that then makes me who I am. You know, and obviously I like nice clothes. Obviously I like these things, but when you fix this, like your world completely changes. And these things, all these addictions are temporary fixes. So it doesn't really matter what the fix is. But I'm willing to. I think I'm willing to work with anyone who's listened to what I said and wants to transform.
Yes, transform. Yeah, because you're a transformative coach, basically. You help people create, like what you said about styling your life, styling the life that they really, really want. Because they've done that negative place, and they want the positive, you'll help make the transformation happen, basically.
Absolutely, yeah, that's exactly what I do. Thank you so much, Soma.
Okay.
You know, I always see you as someone who's really valuable because you're working with people in those jobs who, you know, they're not enjoying that life, and we should not be living like that. And I think that's where you are so powerful, because you're very succinct with what you do, and helping people move from. Because why should we live like?
No.
Why should we live like by getting paid on a regular income, which doesn't really set us alight, and think that that's how it should be? That's just a conditioning, man. Like, and what you do, helping people move away from that everydayness. Like that grey concrete. That's how I see it. I don't know, I'm a very visual person.
No, it's a good way of putting it.
It's just concrete and fixed, and it kind of creates robots, and it's like you helping people break free from that is so powerful. So what you're doing is amazing, and I'd love to work with you, collaborate with my groups.
Oh, no, that sounds really, really awesome. Thank you so much for the time today, Lucy. Pleasure speaking with you, and hope to see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.